Hi everyone, this is Tom. It's been a long time since our last post, so thank you for tuning in. We're glad to have you back, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Hospitality MD podcast. The show begins at the timestamp below, it's in the description, so feel free to skip ahead. This short intro will pertain to viewers planning to attend AAHOA 2024, and I'm going to include a little hint for what's next for Hospitality MD. I just want to let you guys know that our guests today, the guys over at ProSafe, will be attending AAHOA this year. That's right, you'll be able to meet them in person. If you're curious to hear more about ProSafe or any of Worldvue's tech offerings, you'll have the opportunity. And please tell them that we sent you. They'll be in room W224, booth 1229. That's room W224, booth 1229. That said, a brief note about Hospitality MD. It's been a long time since we uploaded last to this channel, but we do have plans in the works, and I'm really excited to bring something new to you guys soon. So whether you're a long-time listener or if you're new to the channel, please be on the lookout for what's next for Greg and I. That's it. Thanks for listening to this, guys, and please enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, guys. It's great to have you on Hospitality MD. This is the first episode that we've had in quite some time, actually resurrecting the show here for ProSafe a little bit.
I mean, it's been what, over a year, I think,
I think it's
maybe?
been over a year since our last episode, and actually, it's kind of getting me a little bit of, those creative juices are kind of flowing now. You're kind of resuscitating this beast here, so I appreciate you guys connecting with us on this. But today we're here to talk about ProSafe. And ProSafe is this revolutionary new brand that we've got Yaz and Colton, two of the heads of the brand here. Yaz, tell us a little bit about what is ProSafe and what is the niche that you guys are filling in the market. Why are we
Awesome.
here?
Cool. So, ProSafe is a panic button platform. It's the only room level accurate, beaconless evidence gathering geolocation panic button that's on the market today. Um, we were founded back in 2020. Got a phone call from Marriott Procurement back in the end of 2019. They had mentioned that there was a law going into effect in New Jersey, and they gave me some pre-approved vendors. I really felt like the solutions that were out there didn't really tackle the root of the issue. You know, the grassroots of it. I felt like there was more that could be done, and that's when we kind of put our thinking caps on, and ProSafe was birthed at the end of the day. Yeah, it's been awesome.
And you come from hospitality. You've got a good what did you say, 18 years
Yes, sir.
under the belt in hospitality. Tell
Yep.
tell us a little bit about what that experience um, brings to the table on a
Cool.
project like this. And
Yeah.
what are the competitors looking like? Like why are you unique as a result of that?
Awesome. Yeah, so 18 years in hospitality, started off as a houseman, worked my way up. Took me 13 years to get to being a general manager. Um, it was it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I would say, to get to where I wanted to be, when I joined the industry. Um, the great thing about hospitality is that a lot of things happen, uh, you know every single day is different, right? Every single day in hospitality is different, and you really have to like think off the cuff and create solutions and make sure it doesn't impact the guest in the process, right? Because they're there for an experience, or paying high dollar to stay at your hotel for however many nights. Anything that's less than perfect is unsatisfactory at the end of the day. So um, that's honestly one of the best things about hospitality. I feel is it really, there are so many times where you have to make a decision on the fly, and just pray and hope that it works. But you know, after all those years in the industry and just being in the business of keeping people happy, um, eventually it's like you master it. right? So it's like, okay, I've been through this situation before. This is how I went about it in the past. Maybe I'll use that as precedent. But yeah, I mean, that was hospitality in a nutshell, right? So when we got this solution, or when we got this mandate that was coming, and it was like, okay, you pay $12,000, $20,000 setup fees. Only your housekeepers get a device. I felt like, how is everyone going to be kept safe if the only people that are on the platform are the people that need it? And then there was limited dashboards as well, like base consoles. So if somebody pressed the button, there was one, right? And if you're in a ten floor hotel and you got to go from the first floor or wherever security is and run up a flight of steps or wait for the elevator, by the time you get to that person that's in need, the situation can be completely different. So um, a big thing that differentiates ProSafe from its competitors is we are beaconless. So we're still able to get that room and area level accuracy without those big setup costs up front. And another thing that's different about ProSafe is we really um, our mission through and through is we connect and protect your folks better than any other platform that's out there. I know that compliance states that back office associates need to have the panic buttons, but who's to say that a front desk person doesn't get badgered? Who's to say that a bartender doesn't get harassed on the daily, right? So that's why ProSafe really took a different approach, and evidence gathering is a big thing that we do, uh, that really gets rid of the he said she said, which is really the root of this issue and what brought this to be in the first place. So I think ProSafe does an amazing job at that. We have a lot of stuff in the pipe that's going to, continue to, you know, make sure that we stay light years ahead of the comp set, and we really look forward to it.
You mentioned evidence gathering, and I want you to kind of expand on that point and your offerings on that in a moment. But I completely agree with you because in another role that I had, I was a manager on duty at a hotel that Greg and I both worked at. And there were times where I was alone at the front desk. It was on the south side of Chicago, middle of the night, and there might be a shady individual that came in and started to harass the bartender. And the
Mhm,
bartender would come over, let me know about it. We got to get this guy out of here. What are we
mhm,
going to do? Call the police, have him escorted out. Or, we might have to just do it before the cops get there.
mhm,
And in those situations, it would have been nice for that bartender to be able to watch over the guests or get himself safe, as opposed to having to come around the bar and out to the front desk to where I was. It would have been very different if he had a solution like ProSafe in that moment. But what is this evidence gathering thing? I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it, or if you could expand on that.
Sure. So from the time that the panic button is pressed until the time that the panic button is cleared, ProSafe records audio and visual. So in our V2, which is upcoming a couple weeks away, um, in V1, you had to put in the 6-digit PIN. After you put in that 6-digit PIN, that's what would stop the recording. But in V2, we've added biometrics to make it even easier once the situation is clear for them to deactivate the alarm.
That's pretty cool.
Video from the cell phone.
Yep, yep. So we are a mobile first solution. So it lives on a user's Android device or iOS device. Um, in version 2, we have a hardware accessory that we'll give you a little bit more details as we get deeper into this. But yeah, we are mobile first, and we do utilize the Ferrari that's in everybody's pockets as opposed to an ancillary device that is either reverse engineered where you have to press it 15 times to get the help that you need, or so yeah, that's it is mobile first, but
Mhm.
and we do record off of the camera that's on the device.
How easily is it activated? Like, say if you're in the situation and you just don't want to be obvious about it,
Mhm.
how does that work?
Sure. So there's two ways to activate the panic button in V1. You tap it and it's silent, so that's discreet. It doesn't let the perp or the harasser know that you've activated the button. If you hold the button, so we really put the safety into the hands of the user at the end of the day and how comfortable they are with the situation. So if it were where somebody was getting violent and you want them to know that, hey, I press a button and somebody's coming to help, you hold the panic button and then it creates the audible alarm that, lets the perp know, hey, something's going on. But maybe if it's, verbal and they're just crossing the line and you're uncomfortable with the situation, you can activate it silently. And not only does the dashboard get a notification that you need help, but every active user at the hotel also gets a notification that that person needs help. So I know we're talking about the bar, but if you're a housekeeper that's in a 10-story hotel, you're on the 10th floor, you activate the panic button, and let's just say the back office is on the second floor of this hotel. Instead of that person on the second floor having to run up 8 flights of steps or taking the elevator up, they can there's other folks that get the notification in real time. So there could be another housekeeper down the hall cleaning the other side of that floor, or there can be a chief engineer or
Security on patrol.
yep, that's a couple rooms away that can get to that person in seconds. ProSafe actually takes a lot of pride on the response time, how quickly we get to folks, which is honestly in the amount of hotels that we're in, it's under a minute. We've had response times as fast as 10 to 15 seconds. So that we feel is creme de la creme in our space.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at my hotel, I got 23 stories. My office is 2 levels below the first floor. So essentially, I could be waiting for an elevator to take me up 25 stories to get to my room attendant if something's going on with this alarm. So that's big because there's other people around. I have housemen around, engineers, like you said, security, and I think security gets our alerts, but still, it's nice to have as many people as you can come and be there and diffuse that situation.
Now, is there a
Exactly.
way to, in your settings, like, we don't want this sector of devices to be notified because of, whether it be regulations or hotel policy or management policy, we don't want somebody getting in the, you know, getting themselves involved? Is there a way to kind of cut down on the number of notifications that'll come through, or is that still being worked on?
So there is a way to tweak the alerts. You can also set an SOP and say, hey, if you get the alert, you're not to report, right?
Mm.
But the folks that are supposed to report, it's also good to know, like, hey, even if I'm not going to go to help the person that's in need, if I've been directed not to, at least I know something's going on in the hotel
Excellent.
and that I should be, I should keep my head on a swivel at the end of the day, regardless of whether I know what's going on or not. At least I know something is going on and I should be aware of my surroundings.
That's excellent.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what's proprietary. You guys don't have to disclose. I'm not sure what you guys have public or not public, but Greg mentioned, his office is 2 stories below ground. What, would he be able to get notifications easily? Is this going through Wi-Fi, or is there a way for him to get those notifications easily? Or do you guys run into any issues with signal or dead zone?
So we have multiple fail safes. We use Wi-Fi, we use data, we use Bluetooth mesh networking, where if both of those first two fail safes fail, it scans for the nearest device that has signal, and gets the alert out. We also have access points that utilize SIM cards that tap into every single cellular tower in the United States. So maybe AT&T in your area isn't the best, but Verizon, for some reason, you could be 10 floors underground and still get the best service ever. Every single metro, every single city is different. Also, the builds of hotels are different too. You got concrete, you got stick frame. So a lot of these variables come into play, but we have 4 fail safes currently. We're adding an additional we'll have over 10 fail safes by the end of this year. So that's something that ProSafe has built its shield on. You can say, and 99.99% of every single alert gets out in less than 1 second. So from the time that the button is pressed, with the fail safes that we already have in place, signal gets out within 1 second. That's the average.
Wow. That was just mind blowing. I'm sorry. I could put a question, but I couldn't. I actually took a couple of notes from a previous conversation, and I'm hoping you can enlighten me. It's a shorter note. Um, it says to talk about the nudge and safety element. Do you know what that's referring to?
Yeah. So in our version 2, so because we are beaconless, the mechanism that we use to get that room and area level accuracy, it, we put the safety into the hands of the associate, because the problem with beacons in the past is it either show the room above, below, to the left, or to the right of where that person actually is in need, right? So there actually have been cases where folks have pressed the panic button. They were using a beacon solution. Not going to say the name of anything, but the support personnel went to the wrong room, and that person still ended up getting, harassed. Something you'd hope that you'd never have to deal with inside of any of your hotels. So yeah, that was what kind of drove us to put the safety into the hands of the associate. So our mechanism is, you scan, you figure out. Okay, well, so there's a exactly how we do it. I kind of keep that on there, but you log in or check into a room, and some folks early on with our version 1 were asking, hey, well, if the associate has to do something so that you know their location, what happens if they press the button and they didn't pick their location, or they didn't select the location that they're in? How do I know where to go? So that was something that we put our thinking caps on again going into version 2, and we added a couple things. So that's our nudge tech at the end of the day. So pretty much it's a safety check-in, right? You would allot an amount of time that somebody should be in any given room. If they go over that amount of time, the device will send you a notification saying, hey, are you okay? Do you need more time in this room? Have you updated your room? From that screen, they're able to update their room if they forgot to, log into the next device, or into the next room, excuse me. But that's one piece. And then also, if they activate the panic button on the device and they're not scanned into a location, we've also created some inputs as well that, in the 0.01% that it's not, somebody tackled you or something like that, you're able to easily update your location even after you press the panic button. So um, we're a company that really listens at the end of the day, having come from hospitality too. Some of the best ideas come from the operator at the end of the day. So that's the beautiful thing about ProSafe for me. Is like, I've been an operator, I've been the customer, and we really value what folks bring to the table, and do our best to bring it to light as quickly as possible when there is something that's feasible that's presented.
I love to hear that as a hospitality operator by trade or from your experience. Am I hearing that correctly? You're layering in multiple solutions over top of each other. So when somebody's inside of a room, essentially, if they move on to the next room, are you guys implementing like changes to the system as a result? Like the status of the room itself can be impacted by this quote, what's supposed to be just a panic alert button has got more functionality than just that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Could you elaborate on that and let us know what that is?
Sure. Sure. So they only have to log into the room. There's not a log out process of the room. So they log into the room. then they'd go to the next room, and then it updates their location.
Wow.
So there's when you set up at the hotel, you can allot times to each room, and that's what kind of indicates the nudge tech after the fact.
Mhm.
So if they exceed that allotted amount of time for that room, um, that's where they get the notification, and
Yeah.
then that's where also it can also, like for Greg in your scenario, if that service time is, or just that time is exceeded that's been allotted for the room, you can go check on the person as well. There's folks of all ages that work inside of hotels. It's not always going to be something that's harassment. There's multiple types of emergencies that can happen while you're up on the floors. So if
Mhm.
somebody has gone missing for an hour, 2 hours, and you haven't heard from them, that's ProSafe comes in hand, where you don't let that valuable time. Like God forbid it was a medical emergency and somebody's down in a room for however long. As soon as that notification hits the base console, you, you'd be like, all right, well, it's been 45 minutes. There's been a check-in. They missed the check-in. Let's go check on the well-being of this associate that's kind of gone MIA.
Yeah, that can be huge.
And
But
to
yeah,
that point too, we also another little benefit of that, of them being in the room and logging into each room, we pull that data of how long they've been in the room as well. So we give the GM or whoever's on property or above property a little bit more data, like for rooms per minute. So when it comes to budget season, they can kind of look at that data and pull everything, average room clean times and things like that for rooms per minute, and budget that down to very precise number. So.
yeah, makes it harder to sandbag that budget, right?
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but
But it does. It makes it gives you that extra data. Data's always great, right? As long as you know what to do with it. And I think that
Mhm.
definitely would help. So you know how much right now everybody just has their basic time, was it 26, 27 minutes per room, and they just assume that's the same, and it might not be anymore.
That's
Good
actually
luck.
generous. That's
Yeah.
generous. Honestly, I was running off of 21 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Tight
then you add in
ship.
the suites and all the extra side rooms and
Yeah.
Who says you need to run the dishwasher, right? And if
Exactly.
you hand scrub, you still should be able to get that room done in the allotted amount of time, right?
Right, exactly. So we talked a lot about version two here and there. Do you just kind of want to go into more detail of like what exactly is version two, what's coming out with it that you haven't talked about already, and what you're excited for? When can we expect it?
Yeah. Colton, you want to take this one, or you want me to give it a little go?
Yeah, I'll go into this. If I forget anything, pick me up on this. But version 2, March 20th is our date there that we're going to have version 2 coming out. So here pretty soon. Yaz mentioned a little bit about the wearable. So we have a hardware device that's coming out as well in version 2 that can be worn on the wrist or on the uniform, depending on what's comfortable for the associate. But essentially, it's going to be a hardware device that, if in the event they couldn't get to the phone, it's right there on their wrist, and they can press the panic button and still get that alert out to every active user and to the dashboard. It's going to be alerted two ways, same thing as the mobile device, as silent and audibly as well. So we're just giving a little bit more, um, giving the associate more ways essentially to get help in a time of need if they couldn't get to the device. With V2 as well, we have something really exciting. We have push to talk with real time translation built into this. So within the application, you'll be able to speak to an associate, to a specific department, or really to property wide, but it's going to be essentially depending on the native language of the associate. We translate in over 57 languages. So you'll be able to talk and text into the application and hear it in your native language in real time on that side. So we're pretty excited about that. I know that that's Yaz mentioned earlier, we connect and protect your entire staff. Essentially on property, you need to be able to, get into rooms, communicate, and stay safe. Those are really the three main pillars. And that's kind of what we're going for here with what we're building in our V2 updates. So with our hardware and our push to talk and our real-time translation, we don't really want you to ever, or the hotel to ever, have to use the panic button. Like, that would be the best case scenario if they never used it. And we're building in ancillary benefits to the property that they can use day to day, that brings value to them outside of safety. And if they need it, of course, it's there for them. But we're really trying to help the ops side of the property while building in more features like this. Um, yeah, a nudge technology. So y'all's also mentioned we'll have nudge technology built into that as well. With our method of deployment, we'd like to keep that kind of secure, but built into that, we'll have nudge technology, and we'll be able to nudge the associate every 20, 30 minutes to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? What room are you in? Do you need more time? And things like that. So that's kind of our three main pillars coming with V2. We have a user interface update as well, makes it a little bit more seamless for the associate and a little bit easier to use, a little bit easier to navigate. It's more simple. It's still one screen on the device. That was a main thing for us. So we wanted to keep that very simple and very seamless on the device. So we just have one screen. You don't need to flip through multiple screens to get the alert out or to communicate. Everything's going to be right there. If you communicate with an associate, it will, let's say it will vibrate in the pocket essentially so that messages aren't heard aloud, which other competitors might have issues with that. But essentially the message will be discreet. So they'll hold the device up to their ear. They'll be able to hear what was said. If it's translated, they'll know exactly what's going on and they'll be able to continue about their day. And you don't have to worry about guests or other associates, whatever it may be, hearing the conversation that should be privy to the staff on property. That's kind of what we're pushing for with V2.
That's awesome. So, in your push to talk, I don't remember if we mentioned this. There different languages. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
Are we talking about
Yeah,
that?
real-time translation you're talking about. Now, how does that
Mhm.
work? Like, do you have to prompt it to say translate mode, or how does that begin?
Speak.
So we're using AI on the translation side to differentiate between languages and pull that translation. And essentially, you don't have to be in front of the associate to translate that message. You can, if they're, like Greg was saying, if they're 22 floors up, you'll be able to communicate with that associate through the application and it'll translate in real time. You don't have to be in front of them. You don't have to go see them. You don't have to go communicate with them in person. It'll all be through the application and they'll hear and or see based off their native language.
Is the actual app itself? Do you have different languages for? Because I know it's a simple screen, but is there multiple languages? Because I have a lot of people from China on my team. Like, was there a way
Mhm.
to have it in their language so when they're looking at the buttons, they know what it says?
Yep, I'll let you speak to that one.
Yeah, so we have localized the language into Spanish. We're currently working on three other languages, with Mandarin Chinese being one of those as well. So I believe that's the dialect that's spoken by the most amount of people from China. So if there's another dialect in there, it might take another couple years or 6 months or however long it takes to localize it. I don't want my CTO. I don't want our CTO to kill us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Week, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" But on the messaging, it is over 50 languages. It is localized right now into Spanish, French, and German. And the last language that we're working on is Mandarin Chinese. So that's going to be all released with our V2 that's right around the bend here. There's also one other exciting thing in regards to the hardware accessory. It actually we have the patent in the U.S. until 2042, where we are the only company that can have a panic button and a master key in one. So that to us is the key for what's ahead. We want to be that solution again that connects and protects folks better than any other platform that's out there today. And we think the key to that is what we've protected until 2042. So we're very, very excited about that.
That's what I'm learning to love about ProSafe is all of your ancillary technologies because, these panic buttons can be mandated in all, various states and these hotels have to have them. So
Mhm.
what else are you bringing to the table? And it's stuff like that that's just mind blowing. Tell us about that master key initiative. Can that be just programmed into specific devices? Can you set different door codes to different devices, or is that still in progress? Like, how are you guys approaching that?
So similar to how you make a room key for a guest, typically hotels nowadays have that integration built into their property management system, right? But still have those encoders. You still have, whether you use SafeLock, whether you use Asa Abloy, whether you use Onity, there's encoders somewhere, right? And what you can do is, just as you code a key when you do it manually, you can code uh, our two-in-one accessory just as you would any key. So it is agnostic. Also, there have been some updates to locks. Whether you're in a Marriott, Hilton, you may have already undergone this transition. But as long as you have RFID keys, we work with I guess now you could call it legacy RFID keys. Plus, we work with the enhanced security as well. So there's, we try to stay up. The hotel industry is one that changes very frequently, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to stay up to date at the end of the day, because then if you're not up to that, that's where the operator in me comes in, right? So if you're not keeping up with it, that's where your QAs start to slip. That's where your property starts to enter into a PIP. All the things that nobody wants to ever go through at any of their hotels. So as the hotel industry changes, we're going to keep up, and if anything, we're going to try to stay ahead and kind of make sure that the rest of the industry we can help the rest of the industry catch up a little bit. So
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and Tom, I really appreciate that statement, because that's kind of our main, I guess, motive essentially. And I mentioned that before, of us not wanting, you don't really want to use the panic button, right? You don't ever want them to have to use the panic button. So with Yaz's experience and what came down in 2020 and what he saw, and based off the capex and the opex of what's out there and what the products that are being presented, we're really trying to solidify the safety side and 100% ensure that if an alert goes out, it goes to the correct room, they get the right authorities for help in the quickest amount of time. But we're also really trying to build in as many benefits to the hotel and to the owner outside of safety that they can use day to day, like communication and safety, and getting into rooms, things like that. We're doing our best to to really help the property essentially in an operational standpoint, and not just provide them with a safety solution that's high on capex, maybe high on opex as well. We're trying to limit that budget and provide them with really, really, really useful features that they can use on property and still keep that capex and opex down. So that's our main motive.
mhm.
All right, I've got a tough question for you guys now. This is I don't know if this might change in the future too. It's possible that this is something that might shift. Is this an a la carte thing, or are you guys packaging this all together? When you get ProSafe, this is what you get, or is it ProSafe and then you can also add on X, Y, Z to your uh, to your program?
So I'll tackle this one. I think that ProSafe was ProSafe has a mission. That's to keep everyone in every single building and hospitality safe. So the core of our platform will always be included. The anything that's software based will most likely be included unless it's really um, out of the ballpark of what we're doing right now. But as long as it's software based, just going to continue to build on our platform, build the features that our folks really want, uh, build the features that they really need day in day out, and continue to incorporate that into the low price. So um, I would say, unlike many other companies that are in the space, our mission is to deliver the best product at the best price, and that will always be our mission. So that's not going to change. That's something that's at our core. We built ProSafe, with the best intentions of the associate, with the best intentions of the GM and the management, the best intentions of the ownership, who are running these businesses at the end of the day, and put their own hard-earned money out to run these businesses. So ProSafe was built with those three components in mind, and that will never change. Um, so a lot of the stuff that we mentioned to you in V2, everything is included. The only thing that changes is the hardware accessory. If they do choose to buy it, it's at a very low price. It's fair. We're not one of those companies that's like, okay, well, the batteries ran out, so we're going to charge you $150 to get a new device. Sorry, that ain't it at the end of the day. So our hardware is tracked inside of our dashboard, and it's a one-time purchase. And if the our batteries last for 3 years, if the batteries eventually deplete, you can replace those batteries yourself. So if a property hits us up and says, "Hey, our devices, or we had one device go down. Um, I don't know what type of battery I need, whatever." That's something that, again, like, it's like you're a guest at a hotel and you forgot your toothpaste, and you go to the front desk and you say, "Hey, I forgot my vanity kit. Do you have you know toothpaste, a toothbrush, whatever else that person may have left, shaving cream, a little razor." Uh, ProSafe will definitely deliver that same, like, you're a guest at a hotel and you expect those things. If you forget those things, our service will always be, that hospitality will never leave me, and I'll make sure that ProSafe, exceeds expectations, because that's really what we're doing here. We want to build a rapport and trust with our end users and our customers, and we're not here to nickel and dime. Our mission, again, is to connect and protect all of your folks better than any other platform that's out there. So our you know what we charge is fair, and I think that that's enough at the end of the day.
Yep, and just to add a little bit on top of that, with the hardware piece that Yaz mentioned, with the small cost there, but the software side, we're really trying to do this as a duty of care to the hotel,
Mm.
um, with safety being the topic and what we're trying to increase on property. It doesn't make sense for us to really gouge the property and or the owner if we're really going for safety and really trying to protect the entire staff on property. We're doing everything we can to take care of the bottom line for the management company or for the hotel or whoever it may be. And it's really why I kind of jumped on board when I met Yaz and just met his personality and his take on hospitality, and really just going above and beyond to make sure whoever's in front of him is comfortable, is happy, and is going to be, essentially they're going to be happy with their experience on property. So that's the same situation he had with me. It's why I jumped on board, and that's kind of our mission is to do this as a duty of care as we upgrade the product.
So
Great
so
point.
far we've talked about who you guys are, what you've got in terms of your product, a little bit about V2 and where your product is going. Um, I'd love to hear about some of your recent successes and maybe a little bit about where you guys envision the company going in the future. Um, and that can be either for Colton or Yaz. I know you guys are both itching to jump in, so maybe a little bit of both. But I know you guys recently had a big deal in the works, and there's a lot going on now with ProSafe. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we
they were both going.
Rock, paper, scissors.
we've had a couple big wins. Essentially, I'm going to go into like our major parent company here and who we're powered by moving forward, and what we've solidified recently in November of 2023. So we are now part of the Worldvue technology family, who currently services over 8,000 properties internationally, and just with Marriott, they service over 2,000 Marriotts internationally as well, and they provide a plethora of technology services to the hospitality industry. They've brought ProSafe onto that as their safety wing now. So with the name of Worldvue and what they're trying to do essentially with the consolidation of technology in the hospitality space, a lot of owners and general managers, whoever it may be on property, are trying to consolidate and essentially find an integrator that can do more than one thing, so they don't have to call 6 different companies for support. Greg, you may be able to speak to that a little bit, maybe a little easier. So they're really trying to create a technology family for the hotel that they can come to as a big brother, and we can take care of them for 6, 7, 8 different technology pieces inside of the hotel that will keep it running operationally. And then if there's issues on support side, you come to one company and we can take care of you for all of that. So we are very, very excited for the Worldvue partnership that we have moving forward and what's to come. And we've recently, a couple management companies we've brought on board, and recently brought on 33 hotels for a management company that's located down in Alabama, and continue moving forward and continue to grow. And today we solidified another one for 19 hotels. So we're growing. We're working with Worldvue and their current customers, just trying to bring them a solution that is CapEx friendly, it's OpEx friendly. It also protects their entire staff, keeps them communicated, and kind of connects with all of their services on property. That's another thing that I won't get into too much, but I will say some of the products that Worldvue is offering with our 2-in-1, we're able to communicate with, and we've got some pretty exciting stuff coming out of that, with how we can use existing technologies inside of the room, and even bring some ancillary revenue to the hotel as well. So we're very excited about that.
Keeping your CTO busy, I see, huh?
He's gonna see this episode and be like, "Oh my goodness."
It was nice. It was nice to know you guys.
Yeah. The second this comes out, we will get a phone call. So, Yaz, anything I missed on that, my friend?
No, I mean, I think you summarized it great. Just me being a history buff and having been in hospitality for as long as I have, Worldvue used to be World Cinema, and I love the story behind World Cinema. They were actually the first company to bring commercial guest room entertainment coast to coast in hotels back in the 70s. And they are really the originator. They are the company that started guest room entertainment as we know it today in hospitality. And they've grown now. It's not like you're getting the old VHS tape of movies that were sent directly from Hollywood, and it played it back. And I have so many funny stories from those legacy systems of disputed charges of guests saying I didn't watch that, but then there was like a timer. There's a timer on the VCR thing, and it would tell you how long they watched it for. So,
Right. So you watched it for 3 minutes. So.
This is before my time. I'm sorry.
Cole, do you even know what a VHS or what a VHS is?
Hey. Okay. Let's take it easy now. Yeah, yes.
No.
I'm only 30. I know.
Yeah, but that's honestly one of my favorite things is that Worldview still innovates today, right? And they've seen our approach to this problem, and they bought into our vision, and now they're uplifting us and making sure that we have the support and the backing behind us to really build out this vision. And I see a lot of similarities from you know World Cinema in its early days to ProSafe in its early days, and them seeing in us, hey, this is a dynamic approach. It's much different to anything that's out there today. It touches on some serious, there's a lot of return on investment for the customers. At the end of the day, it's a solution that goes above and beyond what the other solutions that are out there today do, and the fact that they believed in us and are with us and we're a part of that family is probably one of the greatest joys of my, my life to this point. So
Yeah, that's such a potent and salient point, and I think that I had mentioned this to you guys over the phone, but I just have to reiterate it for the show. I mean, look at world cinema or how they are worldview now. If they just stuck to the business strategy that they had at their onset, they would not exist today. VCRs are not a thing, but they've got their eyes on the future, and the fact that that you guys are now part of their family goes to show that their eyes are still on the future. And right now, that's this technology. So I think that that's just so incredible. And you guys are doing such a great job. And the work that you're doing is improving the lives of so many associates across the country, making their jobs easier, safer, more efficient, and continuing to get more efficient over time as you guys implement more ancillary technologies. And I'm sure improving the dashboard, improving ways in which you guys can layer in operational efficiencies. Um, Based on what I've heard today, I'm very excited for ProSafe, and I can't wait to see where you guys go.
thank you.
I really appreciate that, Tom.
Yeah, seriously.
And I
Appreciate
just
it.
want to add a little bit more on top of the piece that Yaz just spoke to, getting a little bit more specific with, I guess, being mobile first and the vision that Worldview saw and the vision that we see, just at the very basic level, down to the nitty gritty in a panic situation, right? Your thoughts and what you think you're going to be able to do kind of go out the window when you're in a panic situation. Unfortunately, you forget what you plan to do. You forget what the process is supposed to be. And right now, if most hotels don't have anything on property, that subconscious thing to do is to go to the cell phone, right? If I need help, if I need to call 911, if I need to call my manager, I just go to my phone if it's something quick, and I let them know. So that's kind of the subconscious um, path to get help in a panic situation. So that really pairs well with ProSafe being mobile first in this in the event that a panic comes up and everything else goes out the window. They can get to the phone as a subconscious, is the quickest route essentially. So that's really our thinking there. And it's not going to change moving forward as we innovate. The phones are going to continue to innovate. They're probably going to get smaller, but they're kind of getting bigger. So I don't know what route we're going to go, right? But they're going to continue to innovate. Yas mentioned earlier, they're kind of the Ferrari in your pocket. That's why we're utilizing this technology. They are the most innovative. They have the most features, and they really allow the associate, in a subconscious situation to get help. And with our real-time translation, they can go right to that phone and not have to go to anyone else. They can communicate directly with that manager or 911 if needed. So
That's pretty cool.
just a little tip. Just a little.
That was a little sneaky there.
So just wanted to touch on that a little bit as well, as kind of what's out there, and if there's not a solution, unfortunately, the phone is subconscious, and that plays well for what we're doing and what we're trying to do with the associates. So
And it is something that people are just familiar with, whether it's the muscle memory of going to the phone, but then also once you're on the phone, knowing how to utilize it just based on the fact that we all use our phones every single day. So that sounds like a core strength of yours as well. You're not necessarily, I mean, of course you've got the addition of the wearable device now too, but down to the core technology of the phone itself, people know how to use those. They're not working with some proprietary technology where it might be too convoluted and they just want to go to their phone anyways later on.
Right. Like, how many times do I have to push this button for somebody
Yeah.
to actually know to come and help me? It's every device is different. It's confusing.
and did I press it the correct amount of times? Did I press it 7? I should have pressed it 5. Did I press it 4? And I should have pressed it 6.
Channel. Why can't they hear me?
Yep. And then if unfortunately, if things on property get spoken aloud that should be between staff and a guest might hear that, that's another operational issue that might happen on property. You don't want certain things getting out. So I know we've spoken about all this, but I just wanted to add the tip point about the subconscious right now is to go to the phone, and everyone knows how to use it and very familiar with it. So
if I can piggyback off of Colton just a little bit more. So when I got that phone call from Marriott Procurement, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but all you were getting from these devices with these absurd set of costs was like your car key fob with a GPS chip inside of it. And it would, they were putting all these sensors around the hotel. And if somebody pressed the button and they need help, you wouldn't even know who needed help. You would just know hypothetical room 408 needs help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you're the responder and you're running up to go assist whoever you're going to assist, there's a good chance that you could run by the person. You could, if that person's in a state of like, you might be so focused on getting to this room that you could see the person that was in need maybe running in another direction and right past you. So part of us being mobile first was we wanted to look back at what does law enforcement rely on to keep them safe? They have a body camera, right? So for us, our logic was, why would you do anything less for the heart of the house? And the grassroots of all of this too is really stemmed from the Me Too movement and that international banker that forced himself onto that poor housekeeper all those years ago. And you know what she went through trying to put this person bring this person to justice, and that evidence not being there, ProSafe ProSafe wasn't going to allow that, right? So that's why we have evidence gathering. That's why we think it's so important, because situations change. And in those moments where, say it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes for you to get up to those 22, 23 floors to get to that person that's in need, because maybe it just went to you. That situation can be completely different by the time you get to that person. So having that evidence there, and being able to present that in a court of law, or being able to present that to the police officers that come to aid the person, once you cleared the situation, we think that's incredibly valuable. And if you're a safety solution and you don't if you don't take that piece seriously, you're not solving the grassroots of what brought us here in this first place. So
Yeah,
that's
great. That's a great point, Yaz. And I was just going to say, on top of that, with that evidence, we kind of have another feature built into the dashboard that you can essentially reference what happened with a guest, and moving forward, if they're back on property, you'll be alerted, and you can know that you can essentially, with the evidence that you have, if you want to, if it was egregious enough, you can deny the stay. So,
No,
Yeah.
that was wonderful.
Wow.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like a good poignant way to kind of bring this show to a close. Thank you, Yaz and Colton, for sharing
Yes.
ProSafe, sharing the vision, sharing the technology, and sharing the future.
How can people find you, get a hold of you, schedule a demo, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so we're very very big on LinkedIn. We've got, I think, over 2,500 followers now on our LinkedIn page. We also have a blog or newsletter tied to that called the Safety Scribe, that we're closing in on 700 subscribers as of 2-3 weeks of launching it. So our subscribers are going up pretty heavy there. But we're very big on LinkedIn, and you can find us there. Essentially, if you want to reach out through LinkedIn or through email, I'm Colton.Davis at ProSafe Hotels. He's Yazan.Barkawi at ProSafe Hotels. Feel free to reach out. And I believe even on my LinkedIn, I think I put my cell phone number as well. So I would urge everyone that's looking to contact us just to go to LinkedIn and learn a little bit more about ProSafe, and all of our contact info is on there. So,
It's great.
or you can go to ProSafeHotels.com as well. So
Perfect. And we'll put it all in the show notes as well. So not we won't put your phone number in there, but we'll put all your contact info in there.
Hey, I'm offering it. So
It'll be the title of the video. The phone number.
listen, I love talking to hotel owners and GMs, and y'all can attest to this. I've found a new passion when I left baseball in hospitality, and I work a lot. So I just love this industry. I love what we're doing. I love our mission and how we're taking care of people. So at any time, at any point, if anyone out there wants to contact me, feel free to do so, as I would love to talk. So I do talk a lot. So I'm sorry.
All good, guys. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
It was a pleasure,
It was
guys.
a
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
Appreciate it.